Alright guys, I am back today with another horror room movie review, and today is Child's Play 3 from 1991. Just finished watching this movie, and I didn't think it was that bad. Not a lot of death scenes though. It was very lacking in that aspect because they could have done a lot more with it. But I still like the idea of the whole military school thing. I thought it was something different for the series. Not exactly the greatest movie ever, but I didn't think it was that bad. Had a lot of funny moments in it, some unintentional, but it had a budget of $13 million, and I think most of that, if you've seen the movie, I think most of that was spent on the giant haunted house ride at the very end. I mean, that thing was crazy. It looked awesome. But yeah, they had $13 million, and it only made $20 million, so this is the reason there was not another Chucky movie until 1998. With Bride of Chucky. But this movie is 8 years in the future after the second movie. So 8 years later, Chucky's old busted body is picked up and dumped in plastic. We see like the little board from the second movie and the blown up body, and it's dumped into plastic, and we see like the blood swirl around and then form into a new body. And Chucky, as soon as the head is formed, he screams no. And I'm trying to figure out why he would do that. I mean, surely this is better than where he was. I mean, when the little thing like picked up his body, you saw blood come out of it. And I'm just trying to figure out why he would be unhappy being put into another Chucky body. I mean, he was either in hell or trapped as a mass of nothing. And both of those would be worse than him just coming back as Chucky. So I didn't understand why he would scream no in the very beginning. The toy company is having a meeting. They want to bring back the good guy doll, since it was their top selling toy. And the president says no one cares about Andy Barkley. This was a very dark, creepy room for a meeting. Just as a present, they give the president the very first good guy they've made after starting production again, and it's Chucky. And he says that it's the good guy of the 90s. So that comment right there has already kind of screwed up the timeline, but I mean, I guess not that bad, but since it was 91 when it came out, but still, if it's 2 years in the future from the first movie, I don't know. I don't think it would at least be 2000, right? Because the first one I think was 89. So the sequel was in 1991. So almost. It was just a weird thing to say. You wouldn't say the good guy of the 90s. But later that night, Chucky escapes from his box. The president is relaxing. He has all these toys around him. And Chucky ends up tripping him with a glass case full of marbles. And then he tries to run a toy car into the guy's head. And I was just thinking, this is all very Home Alone, the way he's trying to kill this guy. But Chucky turns on all the toys, and he hits him in the head with a golf club. And then he says, "Don't fuck with the Chuck." And the president tries to leave, and Chucky throws a dart at him, and this brings him down. The guy's he's running, he's trying to escape, and one dart to the back, and this guy collapses. And I thought that was kind of ridiculous. And Chucky ends up strangling him to death with a yo-yo. And he used the computer to find Andy. Which at this point in the movie I'm thinking that's fine if he wants revenge. But if he knows he's already trapped permanently in this Chucky body, in this, good guy doll body, why is he still trying to find Andy? The ritual will not work. He knows he's trapped. So I was a little bit confused about that part, but I guess it is a new body, so maybe it'll work again. So we see Andy, who is now older. I think he's 16. He's in military school. He goes to get his head shaved by this creepy ass barber. This guy was just out there. And he goes and he meets his new roommate, who was this nerdy kid named Whitehurst. He's been locked in the closet by this bully named Benjamin. And at the lineup the next day, we see Shelton. We meet some of the other characters: Shelton, Whitehurst, Da Silva, this little kid Tyler, And they kind of introduce us to some of the characters in the movie. And then we see Tyler, the little kid. He goes to the mailroom, and the man asks him to deliver this package to Andy. So on the way to deliver the package, it falls down the stairs, it gets ripped, and Tyler, being 10 maybe, I don't know how old he was, but probably around 10 or so, he sees the package as a good guy doll. Of course, Chucky mailed himself. So Tyler instantly wants it for himself. He takes it to this room so he can play with it, and he opens the bag, and he sees the good guy doll, and he's all amazed, and then Chucky just pops out and says, "Who the fuck are you?" That was great. That was really funny. But Tyler still thinks that it's a doll or something. I don't know what he thought this was, but he didn't seem freaked out at all. And throughout the movie, he's telling, he calls him Charles, and he says, "Stop swearing, Charles." So I don't know what this kid was thinking, but Chucky thinks that since he's in a new body, maybe he doesn't need Andy anymore. Maybe he can tell Tyler who he really is and tell him his secret, and then he can become Tyler and take over his body. So he actually tries to perform the ritual, and he's about to finish it when the head of the school shows up. He takes the doll from Tyler, and as he's leaving, Andy sees him carrying the doll. He freaks out about it, and we see Chucky thrown in the dumpster. And as the garbage man picks him up and drops him in the back of the truck, Chucky's screaming, freaking out. So the man stops, and he goes in the back to check on, he thinks there's a kid back there. So he goes and gets in the back, and he's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" And Chucky just jumps out, and then he crushes the man in the back of the garbage truck. And this was, it wasn't gory or anything, but it was a really gruesome scene. I mean, they kind of left a lot to your imagination, but the way they did this scene, I thought was really well done, because without showing much at all, you knew what happened. And it was very, very sick. The guy's back there, he's crawling, he's screaming for help. You can see the thing slowly moving towards him, and then you can see like the grinder. And he's trying to get out, and he reaches one arm out, and it's crushed, and you see it like break his arm. And then you just hear like the scream. And I thought that was a really great way to do it without showing a lot of gore, spending a lot of money. So Whitehurst asked Andy if he got the package Tyler was supposed to bring him, and he says he doesn't know what he's talking about. So while he's unpacking in his room alone, we see Chucky's in his room under the bed, and he cuts Andy's leg. So Andy freaks out, says, "We killed you." And Chucky tells him about Tyler, and he says, "What do you think, Andy? I'm gonna be a bro," because Tyler's a black kid. And Shelton finds him. He thinks he's playing with a doll, and Shelton, being the giant asshole bully in this movie, takes the doll and says, "I'm going to give this to my kid sister. She's going to love it." So later that night, Andy sneaks into Shelton's room with a knife, and this was just so ridiculous because Shelton is sleeping. He's like a colonel or something at this school. He's in charge of all the other kids, and Andy is going to try and find this serial killer doll. And I'm just thinking, he's sneaking around trying to be quiet. What's he going to do if he finds him? If he does, he's just going to freak out. Shelton's going to wake up, and Chucky's going to go back to pretending he's just a fake doll. So I didn't really understand what Andy was thinking. And Chucky comes up behind him with a Bowie knife. Andy freaks out, falls on Shelton, wakes him up. And Shelton makes all of them march around as punishment, just to piss the other kids off at Andy. Chucky goes to see Tyler. Tyler's trying to play hide and seek with Chucky. This is pissing Chucky off. Chucky says, "Get out here, you little son of a bitch." But he's still trying to do his nice thing, his nice guy routine, like when Andy was a kid. And despite the fact that Chucky repeatedly tried to kill this kid, whenever he was in like a tight situation, he'd say, "Andy, you're not going to leave your buddy behind, are you?" And just all that crap. And it was just really funny. And he's trying to pull the same thing on this Tyler kid. So Da Silva and another girl are sneaking around the school. They find Tyler and Chucky hiding in a closet. Da Silva puts lipstick on Chucky. They hear someone coming, so they take off, leaving Chucky behind. And we see that it's the head of the school, and he sees the doll and throws it away. So what I'm thinking at this point is, does he not remember at all throwing this doll away? Because if it wasn't yesterday, it was this day. So earlier in the day, he threw the same doll away, and then they had a murder, or an accidental death with the garbage man, and he thinks nothing of finding this doll again. So he picks Chucky up, throws it in the trash, and then Chucky comes to life. But before he can even kill this man, the guy dies of a heart attack. And that was kind of weak. I have to say, that was kind of weak. So, creepy barber guy comes back during lunch the next day. He's checking out everybody's hair and just being really weird. And Andy tells Tyler to stay away from Chucky, but he doesn't get it. He thinks that Andy's mad that Chucky's his best friend now. So the barber finds Chucky, and he goes to cut his hair, and Chucky cuts his throat with a razor. And you just knew from the minute they introduced this creepy barber that he was going to die. And of course Chucky slices his throat, and then as he's killing this man, Whitehurst comes in and sees it, and sees the doll is alive, and then he just takes off running. So we see the school is getting ready for war games. Capture the flag with paintball shells. However, Chucky is taking out the red team's paintballs and putting in live ammunition. So even the little kid Tyler is part of this game. Like, they're letting this no older than 10 years old, this kid, play war games where people have rifles that shoot paintball shells with no equipment on. And I thought that was insane. So Andy can tell something's wrong with Whitehurst, but he just says, I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see anything. He's in denial. Andy steals Shelton's map with the location of the red team so that he can go and find Tyler. Shelton finds out about this and wants to go after him. Chucky tries to get Tyler to do the ritual, but when he doesn't want to, Chucky gets pissed off. He's tired of playing around with this kid, and Tyler freaks out and stabs Chucky and takes off. Andy gets caught by Shelton, and Chucky catches Da Silva, who Andy has kind of a relationship going on with, and he radios to the blue team. He tells Andy to bring the kid or he will kill her. Chucky's got her. He's holding her hostage with a grenade. And then he radios the red team and tells them that the blue team is coming, so that they'll show up and that the teams will fight each other. So, blue team is coming. Shelton actually sees Chucky, and he's like, holy shit. And then the red team shows up, and they shoot, and they kill Shelton, because they have real bullets. So he dies from a gunshot, which is another death that Chucky, I guess, technically did, but, I mean, not physically. So Shelton gets shot. During the commotion, Tyler escapes. Chucky throws a grenade, and Whitehurst mans up and dives on it, saving everyone else. Kind of a cool scene. It was a little depressing that he died. I mean, he didn't want any trouble, but he had to do what he had to do, and he saved everybody. So, and it looked really cool. I mean, he dives on it, and it's just like this explosion coming from behind him. But so Tyler runs to a nearby fair. Andy and Da Silva follow him, and they find a dead security guard, and they take his gun. Chucky takes Tyler into a haunted house ride, and Andy and Da Silva going after him. And once again, I have to say that this ride looks badass. I would love to go on this thing. I seriously think that's where they spent a lot of the budget for this movie. This was an amazing haunted house ride. But Chucky shoots Da Silva in the leg, and then half his face gets cut off by a scythe, the Grim Reaper weapon. And it just swings by. It's part of the attraction, and it just cuts off half of Chucky's face. And that looked pretty cool too. And Andy shoots him while he's trying to perform the ritual on Tyler, and he blows one of his arms off. And Chucky still is trying to fight Andy. He jumps on his back. He's trying to choke him, and Tyler hands him the pocket knife. And Andy uses this pocket knife and just, like nothing, cuts off one of Chucky's hands. And I thought that was kind of crazy. And then he just tosses Chucky into this giant fan, chopping him into a ton of little pieces. So they kill Chucky, and then the last thing we see is Andy getting taken away by the police. So that was it. That was Child's Play 3. I didn't think it was that bad, but yeah, not a lot of death scenes at all. I mean, the garbage man scene was cool, but they didn't really have like a lot of gore or anything with it. One guy died of a heart attack, and then another kid died from the bullets that Chucky put in the gun. So there really wasn't a lot of that, but I thought for a story it wasn't too bad for a Child's Play movie. But yeah, I don't think anything's going to match the first one, because the next two movies are Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, and yeah, they're not going to top the first. So I got to say that out of the movies so far, Child's Play 1 is definitely the best. But it looks like they are getting progressively worse. So that's it, guys. That's my review of Child's Play 3. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments below, and thanks for watching.